questions along the way, don't hesitate to sound on, and these practices can be conversational. So let's begin aligning our crown over our sit bones. The simple alignment that can help us feel centrally and interiorly. And then with your breath, feel for beginning your breath in your core. Feel your breath moving throughout your core. So I'm asking us to attune to what is fluid and ever-changing, our breath. And this particular location of the body, core. And just note, to breathe into your core, do you need to expand your interior vision? Do you need to gather or reroute? And we'll stay with that for just a moment more. So we're sustaining that central body focus. We're breathing in and through our core. All right. So my sense is that the behavior, the activity of the head might be a totally different characterological structure than the rest of the body. So we're going to do some stuff with the head to start, and it will include our breath and our eyes. Let me describe it first. It's been maybe a while, years perhaps, since we've done these breathing and eye exercises. So to describe them, we'll inhale, we'll hold our breath, open our eyes, and we'll be looking at all of these edges of our vision. So I'm reaching muscularly, reaching my eyes, and I'll be calling out clock positions just to have some working increments. And then we'll close our eyes and we'll take some breaths. Okay. Now, as we stretch our eyes into these, really stretching our vision, stretching our eyes, our vision, just taking note of any places where it gets a little fuzzy or the muscles feel a little different. We don't want to create eye strain, and that's really important. All right, so let's close eyes for a moment. And it's fine if your glasses are on or off. It's fine if your contacts are in. Inhale with eye focus, almost like you're breathing right through your eyelids, into your iris and cornea. Now hold your breath, open up your eyelids, looking straight up at 12 o'clock, and we'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, downward at 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and we're back upward. Close eyes, exhale. Take 2 deep breaths with eyes closed. With what I'm presuming is an intense amount of computer work, some of these areas of our vision might be a little sleepy. So here goes another round. Inhale in through the eyelids, the eyeball, back into the optic nerve. Hold breath, open eyes, looking straight up at 12, and just start to circle around 1 and 2 and 3, and just taking note where vision may get fuzzy or where the eye muscles feel differently worked. 10, 11, 12, close eyes, exhale. Keeping eyes closed for a couple deep breaths. Just letting the eye muscles relax behind closed lids. I find that when my mind is fairly busy, my eyeballs will tend to flick all around, even if my eyelids are closed. And the wonderful thing about the body is we can go downstream, we can go upstream. Meaning, if I start to shape-shift eye movement, organize my eye movement, quiet my eye movement, very often my mind can shift. All right, so now we're going to go reverse direction. Inhale through closed eyelids. Holding breath, open up, look straight up at 12, go 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, down 5, 4, we're looking all the way right, 3, 2, 1, 12, close eyes, exhale. Take a couple deep breaths. Feel for relaxing the eyeball, the eyelids. And one final round, counterclockwise. Inhale through the eyeballs, the eyelids, the temples, into the back of the skull. And this is a cool move. If you can notice, drawing your breath in through the eyes, hold that breath, open up the lids, looking up at 12, and circle around counterclockwise smoothly, just reaching into all those angles. No strain. When you reach 12, close eyes and exhale. 2 deep breaths. I want to describe one more movement. I wonder if it will have a cooling or nourishing effect. And take a few more breaths with eyelids closed. And imagine or feel that you're drawing breath from your environment in right through the eyelids and the eyeball to the back of the eyeball in the socket, all the way to the back of the brain. And as you're exhaling, just relaxing face muscles so that drawing in through the eye, we'll do just a few more breath rounds with closed eyelids. Go all the way back to the back of the brain. So you're moving through that entire eye space, but also the head space. And when I breathe through the eyes to the back of the brain, back of the skull, I feel situated more deeply internally than if I just breathe to feel the surface of my eye. Breathe all the way through the lid, through the eyeball, through the sinus cavities, the brain, to the back of the skull. And when you gently open your lids, we don't need to bring anything in particular into focus, visual focus, but just playing as if you are viewing from the back of your skull. And just like our breath was able to move in through our eyes, eye space, head space, permit all of the beauty and the environmental beauty that you're in, your homes, your places, your shelters. Let that visual information come to you. Let it enter in. This is a very different track, energetic pattern than projecting outward. And this is such a real and palpable energetic pattern into the eye and into the body, or from the body and out, like casting a fishing line, a visual fishing line, and reeling something. Okay? This is such a different energetic pattern for our eyes. We know hunters, we know Navy SEALs, we know marksmen. See in this receptive way so as to not disturb the target. So we know it's so visceral, it's so palpable, it does, and it can have effect in our environment. So I'm going to invite you to just keep breathing from environment in. All right. Let's adjust the cross of our legs. I'm setting up for a seated spinal twist, my left leg on the ground and my right foot firm to the floor, my right knee tense toward the sky. Right hand on the ground. Now, there's going to be a million places we can catch this visual pattern. And so I'm going to just point out some. My hope, my sense is that by changing this visual patterning in through the eye or out through the eye, that we may feel different energetically. So inhale, reach the left arm up. Exhaling, hook that left elbow over the right thigh. And just some personal shares. It may not necessarily match your experience, but I just want to put it out there because it may be fun. When I'm moving energy from my body to my eyeball, outward, a typical listening scenario might be creating a facade with the eyeballs of looking alive or looking like one is working or appearing to be interested. Right? When we kind of use our resources to create a facade with the eye. I find that to be extraordinarily energy intensive. Now let's just note what happens if you want to close eyes. We're removing the visual advantage of looking out to turn our spine. And with our eyelids closed, note what happens in your core as you breathe in through your eyelids, through your eyes, and into your spine and core. Release. Inhale, unwind. Magic. Let's switch sides. So we've got the right leg on the ground, the left knee tented towards sky, left hand on the ground. Now this is a departure from traditional eye movements in yoga called drishti. So just know it will be a contradiction to some of that. Inhale, raise the right arm, lifting the chest. Exhale, hook the right elbow over left thigh. Now in the traditional system of eye movements, I would turn my eyes to that 9 o'clock position, and my head would turn, and my head would turn, my spine would turn, and I can get into some pretty deep ranges of motion. But for us, we're going to try something a little different. So that's wonderful for moving the physical body, right? Follow the eyes, and the physical body is not far behind. But now this is a little more energetic. If I close my eyelids, inhale in through the eyelids, the eyeball, into the core. Just note how your experience, it's almost like it changes from the inside. When I'll just speak for myself. When I find myself critical of others or such, often I'm projecting out through my eye. And when I kind of flip the switch and I draw in, and I let that visual information, I let that person, I let that conversation in, one of the risks is I might be touched by it. And if I'm willing to risk being touched by that other, often things get pretty sweet and vulnerable and pliable, and things start to move again. That fixity dissolves. We'll release. Inhale, unwind. And the beautiful thing is, when we're doing this in conversation, even when we're doing it across a screen, nobody has to necessarily know that we're doing it. It's one of those invisible game changers. Let's lie on our back. We'll work frog, lifting through. So with the feet off the ground, knees bent, I'll separate the legs widely apart. Feet flexed. Now you can do this with eyes open or closed, totally up to you. Inhale, float the head and the shoulders off the ground. Exhaling. Use your low belly muscles. Exhaling. The tailbone may shift just as a byproduct of exhaling with those dynamic low belly parts. Now pull low belly down so you're feeling deeply, deeply into that low belly. Inhale, relax tailbone down, keeping shoulders elevated. Exhale, curling tailbone. Now, we're all familiar with these. Pull low belly down. So continue. We'll go up to about 10, so like 8 more. You don't have to count. But I just want to keep drawing connecting some dots for us. So whether you're doing this frog lifting through with your eyes open or eyes closed, note from where you're viewing. So something very common I notice when we're doing abdominals, it's almost like energy, visual energy, I guess, arcs out from the eyeballs over the torso and into the belly. And what I'm suggesting is, as you breathe, can you feel that you're viewing your body from inside your body? You don't have to go out through the eyes and into the body, viewing it from the outside, but situate, locate yourself behind the eyeball. Now, let's finish up doing the next 4 or 5 abdominals situated in the area behind the eye. Bringing breath in through the lid, through the eye, into the back of the head. And you may have to repattern, reconfigure that shape, that direction with regard to the eye. And when you are entirely through, set your head down. You can help your legs together. Looks like we're complete. Turn onto a side and press yourself. We'll prepare for some dolphin prelude. Okay. There's a wonderful system of neurologic and eye movements, NLP, and I think it came about just some decades ago, I think. But that we can tend to access different neurological strengths when we reach into all these areas of our eyes. Okay. That we're in fact touching on, almost exercising, lighting up different areas of our brain. Let's set up elbows under shoulders. Clasp hands. Set the knees widely apart and slightly backward. Raising the hands, inhale into the back of the heart. Exhaling, we shift the sit bones back. Now, it's okay if the forehead ends up resting on the ground. It might hang, it might rest. This more embodied seeing, this embodied self-investigation was brought to my attention when a teacher informed me that I was viewing a version of myself in front of myself. So I was actually doing my practice a few feet in front of me, right? And hopefully what this kind of practice does is it plants us attentionally on the inside of our body. So when we breathe into the back of the heart, we feel the interior of the rib cage. And we can touch and feel and sense the back of the heart from the back of the heart. Which is different than breathing into a mirror image of ourself beside ourself or above ourself. Right? So it's a subtle little thing, but it can create so much a richer embodiment. Gently release just by shifting body weight forward. And when you step a foot forward to stand, arrive in a symmetric, straight-legged stance for flank stretch. Now there's two ways I like to do flank stretch. The simple way and more props. The simple way is left hand, grab right ankle. Okay. Relax the head and the neck. From this position, feet active, we inhale and arc the left side of the ribs toward the left leg. I'm going to use a few props. So I'm going to place a block in front of my right foot, and I'm just simply going to palm that block with my left hand. So it's just a different angle than grabbing my ankle. I'm still arcing my ribs away from my right leg. It's just a little different direction here. Now, for some of us, simply closing the eyes is sufficient to feel that richer embodiment, like we're on the inside of our skin envelope. And if that's sufficient for you, great, use it, do it. And we'll trade sides. So we release from that right side. And this really simple version is right hand grab left ankle. Okay. I would like a little different flank feel. So I'm placing my right hand on a block, and that block is 1 or 2 feet in front of my left foot. heel toe your feet together. We'll set up dolphin on a wall. Dolphin on the wall is that right angle. Inversion from the forearms. So take your time to get a piece of wall. I'll be clasping hands. You could do it clasped hands. And once your feet are near a baseboard, inhaling into back of heart. Exhale the knees off the ground. Now from here, as you inhale, step one foot to the wall, hip height. Exhaling, step the other foot up, hip height. Now this is a really good place to check in with that vision. Many people, as we go upside down, we rely even more heavily on visual cues to orient us. So if you're staring really intensely at the baseboard or the wall, inhale in and through eyes, open or closed. I like them both. So you're situating, you're locating yourself, you're feeling your breath behind your eyeball in the space of your body. Almost like these poses are just breath magnets. Kind of drawing that breath in and in and in and in and in. And to exit, step one foot down all the way. Step the other foot down, easing out of that dolphin. When you arrive at your mat, we'll step into a warrior two stance, and I'm putting a block at the top of my mat, just because I'm anticipating some half moon. Okay, so we've got our right leg bent. Let's take that left hand behind the back. Latch on to your thigh or your waistband. And I'm propped on my right forearm. Inhaling into the center of chest. So this route, this pathway that we're creating with our breath, our feeling, our vision, this information from the external to the interior, is how I work with projections. This to me is the way that projections are something energetic and tangible. So when we are projecting, I'll presume we're all familiar with when we project, we put our ideas out on someone, we really can track that energy out. The body hardens a little bit as our energy goes out. Some people describe it as like a hook, like it hooks onto other, fixing them in place. Here's our half moon. So Left hand can remain latched. Right hand, I'm putting it on a block today. Inhale, pick that left heel up, hip height. Exhaling, press that heel out. So the practice that I've enjoyed doing over the years as I'm working with projections is literally like reeling the fishing line right back in. So if I find myself opining or rehearsing a critical remark with someone, those are pretty good indicators I'm I'm hot on the trail of a projection. In my mind's eye, I just start reeling in an imaginary visual fishing line. I just reel it in. And I let that energetic shift soften my core. Release. Inhale, set that left foot down, releasing the left hand from the thigh. Pigeon. When we set the left knee down, we walk the right foot to the left side of the mat. You can take this one of two ways, this pigeon. You can just set the hands and the forearms down out in front. Option 2 is hooking that right arm to the foot and reaching that left hand behind back again and latching onto that thigh in the same way. So it becomes more of a twist, a chest opening twist in pigeon. So here might be one of those places in our poses. You might be looking at your foot or at the ground where your hands are. And just as a practice, if I locate myself in my body, like the back of my head, and I permit that visual information to come to me, whether it's the floor pattern or my fingernails, but I breathe that visual information in, what happens in your core? What happens around your spine and in your pose? Inhale, walk the hands under your shoulders. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, step the left foot forward, warrior 2. I'm just setting up the block and propping my left arm atop my thigh for this variation. Right hand reaches behind back, and I'm grabbing onto my thigh or pant. And rather than reaching out with our eyes to latch on to balance with something, which is a great use of eyes, but we're just playing around with the more energetic practice side of things. Just can you feel for breathing in through the eye? Like you're bringing breath from the environment into the eye, into the head, into the core. Half moon. This right hand latch can remain. Set the left hand down, a little to the left, and in front of that left foot. Inhale the right heel hip height, and exhaling, press back through that sole of right foot. Here's a place where you might be using your eyes to anchor yourself in space. Right? It's part of our vestibular system. It's part of our balance to look at something to help maintain a position. Right? Use your reference point. But energetically, it works a little different. I kind of reel it in. I let the eyes relax. And pigeon, letting go, right hand. Inhale, right foot down, right knee down. We walk the left foot over. Two ways you can work this. One, simply place the hands down. Two is twisting toward the foot. Right hand reaches behind back and re-grabs the thigh like we had a moment ago. It's a little different than, so if you do a lot of thought work or creative work, you know, the value of that spacey feeling where you just kind of look at nothing and you just kind of that spacey, drifty, light, like the whole visual field gets to just kind of fuzz out a little bit. It's a really valuable state, that kind of spacey, lucid. But what we're practicing is a little different from that. I just mention it because often I'll see people go into that spacey state in pigeon. Like they'll get to pigeon and then they'll just kind of like start drooling a little bit. Inhaling through the eyeball. So we keep situating inside, behind the eye, in our body. In this way, we can view the world while still accessing our inner resources of wholeness and fullness. When I go out my eye to the world, I disconnect from those resources. Inhale, walk the hands under the shoulders. Exhaling, downward dog. Now, in downward dog, there's one more place we can practice. Remain in downward dog. And there's a good chance that you are visually looking at your feet, between your feet, past your feet. There's a pretty good chance. And so if you can track that trajectory and just try reeling it back in. So if you're going visually out and at your feet, feel for breathing. It's like you're bringing the visual information of your foot to your eye. And not only to your eye, but into your head. And gently set the knees down. Have a seat and do one more brain thing. And it's the hands. Okay. So, palm facing away from navel. This time we're going to do it with eyes closed. Lightly draw the pinky back. Inhale through eyelid, eyeball. Exhaling, spread the palm. Softening through the shoulder. All right, we're going to go through each of our fingers this way. Eyes closed, breathing in through the eye. Often when we do this hand stuff, again, our vision tends to have this trajectory out through the eye at the hand, right? There's this subject, there's this arc of attention, there's this object out here, my hand. But when I close eyes and I breathe in through the eyelid, through the eyeball, and feel how that information of the hand feels more situated inside body, does it not? Feel free to disagree. And just keep going through the next hand. when I bring information in, I risk being changed by that information. And when you feel complete with that, lie back for Shavasana. If I could be transformed by a world that was able to touch me, would I choose to live in a world of beauty? Is seeing the beauty of our world a matter of a shifting how we view? What do we allow to touch us, to reach us? When you're ready, bend knees and turn to a side. help yourself to seated. Namaste.